Hey guys, Gavin Magic back again, and we're going to do a deep dive into this graphic, Secret of Pretoria. This was just released a couple days ago. It's a nice outline by Matt on how 2.0 Phase 2 of Land is going to work, and I've had some time to just kind of look it over. Um, Pretty much the way I thought it was going to lay out for the most part. Of course, there are a couple buildings that I had, no idea about, and some special resources that I didn't know about. But for the most part, I think this is probably the way Land Point 2.0 is going to go. I know they always throw the caveat in of, things could change last minute. We might alter a few things here or there, which they may, but I think for the most part, this is pretty much set in stone on how Land 2.0 is going to work, at least for all the buildings. So I'm excited to see this and excited to share with you guys my thoughts on how I think this is all going to lay out. Okay, so starting at the top. So providing liquidity for land is going to get you elixirs, which are a special resource. So it looks like the only way to get elixirs are going to be from providing liquidity. Otherwise, the elixirs you're probably just going to have to buy off the market from people that do provide liquidity. Okay, so this combined with magic resource production buildings. Now what these are for your magical resources. So say for example, you have, like I do, a common plot that is magical that produces life magic. So you will build whatever the life resource building is called. You will be harvesting life magic, and you will be using that magical resource to send to the laboratory. So there's going to be 6 different buildings that produce the 6 different magical resources, one for each splinter. And then, of course, if you have occupied lands, and those will have essences on them, so you will build an outpost. You'll probably have to fight some battles to collect your essences. So it looks like these 3 elements are going to be used to send to the laboratory, and the laboratory will be making elemental essences, which are basically an essence from an occupied land, a magical resource from a magical land, and I think this may be optional, the elixir, maybe not. I'm thinking this is going to be optional to give you some sort of a boost, but either way, the magical resource and essence are going to create the elemental essences, and the main use for this, to me, most definitely is going to be for the elemental foods. Now it shows there's a couple other options that we can get into, that you can do. One, obviously, the elemental essences are going to be used all the way down here for items and spells, but for now in 2.0, the main thing is going to be for the food. So, how do you build these 2 buildings? If you will notice, they do not have lines going to them like these do from the logging camp. So from the logging camp, this is where you obviously collect wood. You'll take the wood and you will send it to the sawmill to get refined. How do you build the sawmill? Well, sawmill looks like you're going to need wood, and you're probably going to need ore and maybe some stone to build the sawmill. So one of the things that I thought about right away is like, well, how do you build the first logging camp if you need logs to build it? Of course, no one has them yet because they haven't built the building. So what I'm thinking is all these buildings right here are going to probably be built with DEC. So if you want to build your logging camp once 2.0 gets started, since no one has these resources, it's going to be one of 2 things. Either you're going to have to buy, let's say this does require wood, stone, and ore, you're going to have to buy it from the market. Once this is up and running, then you'll be able to produce wood, and then you'll be able to send wood to produce some of your other buildings. So it's going to be interesting to see, but my guess is these buildings right here, you can only build with DEC. One of the main things I'm wondering about is like your farm for grain. Like right now, I think the buildings that we have in 1.5 are not going to carry over to 2.0. Once 2.0 launches, I think all your buildings are going to get wiped, and you're basically going to start with a cleared plot. So you're going to have to build a farm to produce grain. You're going to have to build your quarry for stone, and so on. Farms are going to work basically just like they do now. They will be producing grain, and then grain will be sent to the mill to do the elemental foods. Excuse me. So one of the things too, if you notice, see how the logging camp goes over to the mill, and it goes over to the lithification site, the sawmill, and the foundry. Maybe all you need to build these buildings is wood. You know, you don't need stone, I guess, or ore to build a mill. You're just going to need wood. So in the beginning stages of Land 2.0, I'm thinking the main resource you're going to need other than grain is going to be wood to get these buildings up and going. Let's see. So the Runology Tower over here, this is built from trifoil runes, which are only available from your castles and keeps. So that's kind of an extra utility that these buildings will have, is that they're going to produce this special resource for doing research. So right now in 1.5, you can do research simply by building the research hut. Once 2.0 goes live, to get the research built, it looks like you're going to have trifoil runes. So this is going to be something that you're going to have to purchase from your castle or keep owner. Once you purchase these, you're going to be able to build your Runology Tower and be able to do research. So I think that's one of the reasons too where Matt said he's going heavy into research to get as much research built up now while it's easily able to do. So once 2.0 goes live, just be aware that you're probably not going to do research right off the bat. So these other basic ones, quarries of course produce stone, and then stone will be used to turn into elemental stones. So what do these elemental stones and these buildings on this level do? Where it looks like your refined stone are your elemental stones, your refined wood becomes lumber, and all the 5 different ores will be refined into metal bars, and then these will be used for construction upgrades and maintenance. Now I notice it says construction upgrades, not construction. So you're not going to need these to construct the buildings. These are simply going to be used for upgrading and maintenance. And then of course for the Ancient Ruins project. So for me, one of the main things that I wanted to know was, okay, if I want to build, my quarry right off the bat, how am I going to be able to do it since, no one has, wood or stone or anything yet. And like I said just a couple minutes ago, 2 different options. You're either going to have to buy basic materials from the store to build your quarry, or it's just going to be, simply DEC. One of the things I'm doing is I'm saving my time crystals so I can build these right off the bat once 2.0 goes live. Because to me, these are going to be your permanent buildings. Everything on here that you build is going to be your permanent building unless you decide at some point later on that you're going to, swap from like a quarry to a mine or a quarry to a laboratory or whatever. Right now, all your buildings in 1.5, like I said, I don't think you're going to keep. You're going to have to get them wiped because, like, for example, your shard mine's not going to carry over. There are no shard mines here. There is no SPS farming here. And then, of course, for your research, I think that's going to get wiped, and you're going to have to construct that later on. Okay, so going to this part. So of course, all your refined natural resources are going to be used for construction and upgrades, and for working on the Ancient Ruins construction project. And then these will yield gemstones, and these will yield totem fragments and the Secret of Praetoria. So it looks like once you get this building complete, it looks like you'll be able to get some special resources from them. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how often you get gemstones and totem fragments. Because otherwise, I think if this is something you can get on a regular basis, you're going to be able to get tons of totems. So curious to see what the drop rate is for these. And then, of course, the gemstones, you'll have to build this building, the lapidary. Never heard of that before. That will give you a polished gemstone that you will be used for items and spells. So it looks like there's 4 buildings that you're going to need to make your items and spells. You're going to need these polished gemstones, which are going to come from the Ancient Construction Project. And then those, of course, are going to come from, having all your refined resources and all that. You're going to need to provide guild power. So however you provide guild power is going to give you mana crystals, which is another special resource for items and spells. And then up here, you're going to get desalinization crystals somehow. It doesn't say exactly how. For infrastructure projects, which will turn into salt. So that's kind of funny. You go from desalt to salt. And then you can spend legendary and alchemy potions in your alchemy lab to make enhanced potions. So you've got enhanced potions, you've got elemental essences, you've got mana crystals and polished gemstones. All four of those combined will make your items and spells. Now I'm thinking the two that are going to be guaranteed that you're going to have are the gemstones and the essences to create items and spells. Mana crystals and enhanced potions I think might be extras. It might be if you use enhanced potion you have a higher chance of getting a gold version or maybe a higher rarity. And mana crystals I'm thinking maybe you would get more than one. So let's say for example you are going to craft an item and it's a common. Instead of getting one, maybe if you use an enhanced potion, it will give you an increased chance of getting, instead of a common, you get a rare, or instead of a common, you get a gold common. And then the mana crystals might increase the number. So instead of getting one, maybe you get two or three. That just a guess, but just trying to give you my best guess of what I think some of these resources will do. And then of course, their item and production building will make your crafted cards. So I think this is pretty much how it's going to go. Like I said, not a lot of surprises here, just a couple of things that I didn't know about as far as the special resources. But for me, my main question was, okay, how are we going to get these buildings built and up and running right away? At least going from this flowchart, it looks like these are the buildings that you're going to be able to build right away. Your farm, your laboratory, quarry, logging camp, mine. The ones that are going to take a little bit longer to build, you're not going to be able to build a mill, it looks like, right away, unless you can get wood, because it looks like you're going to need wood to build that mill. And then you're going to need refined wood, lumber, some metal bars, and maybe elemental stones if you want to upgrade your mill to get it more efficient. So these are the ones I think you're going to build right away. These are the ones I think you're going to build later. The ones down here, like your alchemy lab, your lapidary and all that, you're not going to have to worry about in 2.0 because this is not going to be until later on. So the main focus I think everyone needs to do is get your farm, get your grain farms going. Work on, if you're trying to be self-sufficient, you want to get at least a quarry, logging camp, and mine. And then work on getting these going so that you can, if you have enough plots, start getting your sawmill, foundry, and lithification site up and running, so then you can start upgrading your buildings and doing maintenance. So there you have it, guys. There's just kind of my thoughts on how this is going to all work out. Excited to see when 2.0 comes out. Right now, my focus is on, pretty much like everybody, just building as much grain as I can, and then trying to get whatever research I can now before 2.0 goes out. And like I said, this I think is going to be kind of gated a little bit depending on trifoil runes, how many of these are available, and if these are required to even build this building. So hope you guys enjoyed the content. Hope it maybe gave you a little bit of insight, maybe some questions to ask yourself about maybe what your strategy is going to be when 2.0 goes out. You know, how many farms are you going to get going? How many of your other these other buildings are you going to focus on building? One last point I want to leave you guys with is this. I don't think all of these buildings are going to be able to build on every plot. And what I mean by that is, let's say for your farm, you're not going to be able to build a farm in a caldera. You're not going to be able to build a farm, I don't think, in like a canyon. So there's only going to be certain terrain types where you're going to be able to build some of these buildings. So keep that in mind as well. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to end the video here. If you have any questions or comments on the Secret of Praetoria, please leave those in the comments section below. And until next time, stay the course, keep on forging, and most definitely have fun. See you soon.